What's up, y'all? Today we're talking about belt grind versus stone grind. What are they? When do you use them? What's the best case for each? When you go to your local tune shop and they're giving you a menu of options, it's very, very common for you to have a belt grind option and a stone grind option. Usually less expensive and more expensive. And that's really inherent because the machines that stone grind cost more and the stones themselves cost more, and they take more time to make the skis feel really good. When you're running a ski over a belt, you have a whole lot of factors that are going to make things inconsistent. You have the human size and strength that's gripping the ski, maybe in a couple of different spots. You have the ability to bend and twist the ski in a few different spots. And yes, it will pretty the ski up. Yes, it will make it look smoother, but often the flatness is inconsistent. The only way to truly get a ski really nice and flat is to use a stone grind, and this machine is one that does it really, really well. As you're grinding a ski on a belt, you're gonna make some passes dead flat down the middle on each side to make sure that the base edge is nice, shiny, and polished, and there's no rust left over. And when you're doing that, you're going to create some unflatness. You're going to make it so the bases are a little high and the edges are a little bit lower if you grind more on the sides. When your bases are high and your edges are low, it can feel like we sharpen them, but it takes forever before the sharpness engages. If the opposite happens and your ski warps where the edges are high and the base is low, it can feel like it's hard to initiate a turn, and it can feel really hard to smear and slide and come to a stop too. When they're dead flat, they feel very predictable, they don't feel hooky, and your experience is better on the hill. On the belt here is where a lot of human error can be introduced and make your skis feel like crap. Your hands can be positioned here, they can be positioned here, and that's going to help create some inconsistency. As you go over the belt and you try to sharpen the edges, a novice tuner can easily bend this way too far and make the skis feel very over beveled. Out on the hill, that's going to feel like your skis are not as sharp as they can be. And that's because this is actually getting rounded over as it goes over this belt. When you picked up your skis, they looked really pretty. The rust was gone. The bases were smoothed out, but maybe they were really over beveled. And now on the hill, they really don't feel sharp at all. They feel maybe worse than when you brought them in the first place. That can happen right here on a belt. That cannot happen on a stone. You've come down, we've inspected your skis. We're checking out all the bits, the edges, the bases, how flat they are. We're coming up with what's the best tune for you based on your preferences and where you're going. When we go over to our belt grind to take care of the initial rust on here so we don't put the rust in our new baby, we're really not getting any settings. Over here, if it's a rocker freeride ski, we can do that. If it's a twin tip, we can do that. And we can really make sure these are dialed in specifically to the type of skis and the type of skiing that you're doing. And you're coming in and we're checking out your skis. We're also going to be asking you where you're going. And if you've got a trip coming up and you know what the conditions are going to be like, a stone grind is way better because we can tailor the structure in your base specific to the conditions that you're going on. Fine is better for cold. Coarse is going to channel more water in warm conditions. The medium structure is good for a little bit of everything. You can do that on a stone. You can't do that on a belt grind. You're not adding structure to the base at all. You're really taking it away. If you've picked just the belt grind, there can be a lot of issues that come along, but one of those is how old is that belt? If it's brand new, it's gonna take a lot of material off very quickly. Every new belt here needs to be knocked down and made a little bit softer so it doesn't really make the bases super furry. If the belt is really old, it can take twice as long to grind your ski, and maybe you've got some areas that are grinding well and some areas that are worn out and are not grinding well. Every day, the stone on this machine in between tunes is being dressed. It's being kept dead flat, and it's going to be cutting and smoothing out your bases perfectly every time. That's something that can definitely happen on a stone. That's something the operator can watch and make sure is perfect. On a belt, you're not going to see it. They're going to look shinier and smoother, but you don't know that they're dead flat. You can't see it. It's something that cannot happen on a belt grind. All right, so it's just gone through for its first round. Good operator's going to take these guys out of here and see how flat they are. Do any more additional grinding if necessary. So first, we got to clean them off. We get the emulsion mixture off, and then we're able to see the final product. We want to see the structure going clear from one edge to the next without missing any zones. And in this particular example, there's a few mil underbinding that hasn't been touched by the stone, which means the base is high and the edges are low. When your base high like that, it's going to feel like it takes a little bit longer for the sharpness to engage. And so really your skis are going to feel a bit dull. They're not going to feel as sharp as they could as if they were dead flat. So we're going to take some time, put this back in the machine for a few more passes, and make sure they're perfect without taking extra life off the ski for no reason. As we've been saying all along, the foundation for a great tune is paying attention to your bases. When you go to your local shop, you'll often get options for edge and wax, belt grind, and stone grind. We hear it all the time. You want your edges sharpened, you want your bases to be waxed. But if we're not grinding and flattening and adding structure, we're really not doing ourselves any justice. Edges get blamed all the time for base problems. If you're not feeling sharp and they just sharpened them, it's probably because your base is out of flat. So whenever you can, pick the stone grind. And if you have the option for a robot stone grind, go there. Less human error, more points of contact. The skis feel quite a bit better. On an edge and wax, you're not even touching the bases. You're just polishing them up. Pick the stone grind every time.